Welcome to our program. I'm Johnny Toplano, giving you my deepest service with complete honesty. And once again, thank you and welcome. For our first report of the day, Southern Leyte mudslide, reporting by our team's report. The effect of Southern Leyte will be covering by our report, Mrs. Jenny.
Thank you, Johnny. Mudslide hit the village of Ginsagon in southern Leyte province. As for now, the total deaths that have been reported were 122 people, while the total for the missing persons were 980 people, and 17 people were injured. 601 families or 2,926 individuals were evacuated to the designated evacuation center. The place is having a very heavy rainfall and a minor earthquakes. The landslide was up to 30 feet deep or 9 meters in some places here in Leyte. The Office of Civil Defense has estimated that the landslide has resulted in approximately 92.2 million in damage to infrastructure and 22.6 million in damage to agriculture in the area. As for now, patuloy pa din ang paghahanap sa mga taong nawawala at patuloy pa din sa pag-rescue sa mga nasalanta. That's my report. Back to the studio.
Thank you, Jenny. Moving on, next we'll be covering the same but in a different area and how much the mudslide affected them. John Dave, please take the lead.
Good day everyone. I am John Dave Danaba reporting. According to the residents, they did not expect this thing to happen. Students and teachers were at the school. There is also birthday party at the barangay hall, which a lot of women are celebrating. According to LGU, 15 other barangay were also affected, including their elementary school, barangay hall, and health center. It also affects their crops and businesses. A lot of roads were closed. Power has been cut off because of landslide. Projects like fish for every family have been destroyed due to landslide. Gloria Mapagal Arroyo states in Philippine television that the help is on their way. Water, blankets, food and medicine were given to affected residents. Local government helped residents to move in their new home. 7 communities were relocated in Barangay Magbagakay. The other 3 barangay were relocated in Barangay Katmon and Barangay Kabagawan. A lot of countries like United States, New Zealand, Thailand, and even Malaysia help Southern Leyte. Some private sectors help residents to build their new home. For them, the greatest impact of this landslide is losing their loved ones and buried alive.
Thank you, John Dave. Next report is why did this mudslide happen in the first place? Mr. Francis?
Thanks Mr. Johnny Toplano, and we will tackle about mudslide. The mid-February, landslides were triggered by heavy rains and caused extensive damage to homes, business, and crops. Many roads are impassable and power has been out of in some areas. Key projects such as fish of every family have been destroyed. The effects of the landslide and the impact of a landslide can be extensively, including loss of life, destruction of infrastructure, damage to land, and loss of natural resources. Landslide material can also block rivers and increase the risk of floods. The risk of landslide in the Philippines, one of the most disaster-prone countries in the world, is increasing, experts warn. With the changing weather conditions and amount of rainfall, each seasons brings, we could categorically state that number of landslide occurrence is increasing. Angelica Sahonia, Senior Science Research Specialist with the Philippines Government Mines and Geoscience Bureau, told IRIN, the combination of mountains and hilly regions that experience earthquakes as well as intense rainfall brought on monsoons or typhoon make the terrain naturally susceptible to landslide.
Thank you, Francis. Lastly, before we tidy up, Mrs. Caitlin will discuss on how to prevent this kind of situation. Mrs. Caitlin?
In order to avoid landslides that happen in a wide and active tectonic system that spans the entire length of the Philippines, there have been studies on possible ways to prevent landslides. These would include using chemical agents to stabilize slope material, building barriers such as piles and retaining walls, diverting debris paths, and rerouting surface and underwater drainage. To have a landslide sensor would also help those people who live in a terrain that is prone to landslide, while we are eager to find ways on how to prevent another Quinsigon landslide. Locals, along with the local government units, have been preparing shelters and evacuation centers to help victims to have temporary housing while fixing their homes. But it is not only limited to preparedness, but also to the action after such disaster will happen. To be able to visualize the actual testing, it was communicated by the barangays by way of portable handheld radios, and they also had a chance to observe the tilt and acceleration data. The locals have successfully operated a flood early warning system now integrated with the landslide and tsunami warnings as a part of its prevention of fatality. These early warning systems have reduced the risk of casualties as Southern Leyte is extremely exposed to these hazards. Once again, I am Caitlin Cecil Banawa reporting. Back to studio.
Thank you, Caitlin. For our reporters, thank you. For last, I'll just give you some quick reminder that this kind of things can happen to anyone, not just mudslide, but any kind of disaster. We should get some prepare for ourselves. This is Johnny Toplano, signing out.